And it's a search for a Chief Justice. That's where we are going to right now. It started today. So let me show you how the timetable looks like. This is how it's going to turn out. About 10 of them will be interviewed all through this week. Next week, the person who will be starting off will be Justice Matthews Nduma, who will also be interviewed at that point. But there's more. This is how this process is going to look like. Yeah. So already we're at this stage. There's going to be about a 7-day interlude here for the committee to decide on the people they've decided will be the best candidates. They have about 7 days to do that, right? Right after the interviews, which will go up to the end of the month. After that, they have a further 7 days to give them notification that they've been selected. That then goes to submission of the nominee to the president. The president then sends that name to Parliament for vetting. Parliament has 28 days to decide whether they're going to approve it or not. If they reject it, then the process starts afresh. If they do, then the person will be appointed. So we're looking at least a month before, actually more than 1.5 months, before we get to know the real Chief Justice. However, this entire process can be fast-tracked. Remember, 7 days and 28 days, they can be faster than that. Even then, the first person who went on the hot seat today, a past ruling in a defilement case, came to haunt Justice Said Juma Chitembwe as he appeared before the Judicial Service Commission, which vetted him to test his suitability to be the country's next Chief Justice. Chitembwe was hard pressed to explain why he set free a 24-year-old man accused of defiling a 13-year-old girl. In his defense, the High Court judge said that the punishment was too harsh, yet the two were in a relationship. As Chemutai Goin now reports, the 54-year-old judge broke down when he narrated the tribulations he underwent when he faced corruption charges.
As he steadily walked into the interview chamber, the vetting panel was on standby, ready to shoot their questions to the man who wanted to be Kenya's next Chief Justice.
You said that you don't believe in resource-oriented leadership. If I heard right, maybe explain to us why, because I thought we are all advocating for resource-oriented leadership.
If, for instance, your funds are not facilitated, what would you do in practical terms as a Chief Justice?
And with professional competence and good judgment being one of the key considerations by the vetting panel, his past ruling took center stage. Chitembwe tasked to give his stand on the Sexual Offences Act, and particularly in the case of defilement, after a seemingly unfavorable ruling he gave in 2016, freeing a 24-year-old man who had defiled a 13-year-old girl.
And one gets the impression that your sentiments, your personal sentiments may not be in consonance with what the law provides for. So what I want to hear from you, Judge, is what do you do in scenarios where you find what you believe as a person conflicts with what the law provides for?
Assuming I was wrong and I was to convict, can you compare Martin Charo with somebody who violently pulls a young girl to the bush and defiles? Yet all of them gets the same sentence. In the case of Martin Charo, these are people who have been dating. Even they went to the parents' home and slept there for 3 days. Even the brothers knew where their sister was.
Chitembwe adding that he was not advocating for underage sex, however, maintained that the sensitive matter needed to be addressed boldly, and that while making his decisions besides relying on the law, he used a social approach to interpret the provisions of the law.
On matters involving integrity,
and the ghosts from the past would still come back to haunt him, pushing him to tears.
It's good you have asked some of these questions.
This after Commissioner Evelyn Olwande sought to know his experience when he was accused of graft in 2009.
It is often said that it is the wearer of the shoe who knows where the shoe pinches. You were once charged in an anti-corruption case and you were eventually acquitted. But I would like to hear from you how that experience has enriched you, and what insights that maybe you have gained that will be of benefit to the judiciary, being on the receiving end of the services that we give.
As you sit as a judicial officer, you should be able to sift out what has been brought for serving other purposes and what has been genuinely brought as a court case.
The High Court judge with 29 years' experience in the legal profession said that he was confident if appointed would resolve the standoff pitting the president against the judiciary on the appointment of the 41 judges.
The solution for this is negotiation.
With JSC having sought information on the shortlisted candidates from various investigative agencies, it emerged that Chitembwe had not submitted the requisite wealth declaration forms and that he was not tax compliant, but he had a defense. He, like his possible predecessor, vowed to end the backlog of cases that have frustrated justice for many Kenyans. This as he also pledged to ensure digitization of court records to minimize loss of files and documents and thereby tackling the monster of corruption, which he insisted had taken root. And after the 6-hour session where Justice Said Chitembwe's 12-year tenure on the bench was put on trial, Day 2 will see academician Professor Patricia Kamore-Mbote, who will also appear before the vetting panel to plead her case. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV, Supreme Court Buildings, Nairobi.